It's 25 to 6. Well, not being able to see family members has been one of the toughest parts of the lockdown for many people. But what if your family are living across the water? Well, Ayesha Sharieff is from Derry but works as a GP in London. She has survived COVID-19 at the beginning of the outbreak but played down the seriousness of her condition to her dad Ahmed living in Coleraine. I've been talking to both of them.
Well, Tara, I got ill right at the beginning of this pandemic, about 16th of March. So at first, we all heard it was a mild flu-like illness. So initially I was just thinking, I'm making this up. This is nothing too bad. I just felt a bit tired, nothing much. But I think after about day 4, I started to feel more unwell. And then I realised, gosh, this might be, COVID-19. But at that time, there was no way of getting a test. So I just had to go with it. And every day was sort of uncharted territory. I just didn't seem to get better. And I thought after 7 days, normally with a flu, you get better after a week and you sort of get your appetite back, but I wasn't getting better. So then I started to realise, yes, this must be, COVID-19, because all the classic things that they're saying now, that I lost my smell, I had a fever that just wouldn't be controlled, and I had no cough. So I had no real signs of where this infection was coming from, but I knew that it was something I've never had, before. It definitely felt like nothing I've had before.
And how bad did it get? How bad did you feel? Were you worried?
I did get worried. I think day 9 was my worst day because despite taking medicine, paracetamol, the fever would not go down, and I was having this symptom called rigors, where your body is involuntarily shaking because of the fever. So I was having rigors and a persistent headache, and I just thought, I'm worried now that there's something called sepsis, and I started to think, am I going into sepsis? So, I had to make the steps. I spoke to my colleagues at work, and they recommended calling 111, which I did. And actually, they dispatched an ambulance. When I spoke, they spoke to me. They didn't like how I sounded. But in that time, ambulances were not coming straight away because, if you're critical, they'll come straight away. But I wasn't quite critical. And in that time, I started to reflect about my symptoms. And I thought, well, I don't need oxygen. I'm not struggling with the breathing. It's more just feeling atrocious. And I'm relatively fit. So I thought, I rang the ambulance back and I said, look, I think I can manage. And actually, I'm glad I did in the end not go in. But it was a scary time.
And your dad's on the line, Ahmed. It's lovely to talk to you as well. Were you worried about Ayesha? Obviously, she's working as a GP. She's over in London. You're in Coleraine. What was that period of time like for you?
Yeah, it is very, very troublesome. There's nothing you can do. There's no way you can get across for them. But very fortunately, our son is also quite close by, and he was a tremendous support for Ayesha, and that was very reassuring for us. So that time passed, but it was a worrying time, yes.
And Ayesha, did you feel that you needed to kind of maybe downplay some of the symptoms? Were you wanting to kind
definitely.
of protect? Yeah,
you do. As you know, if you're away from home, you just don't want to worry your parents too much. So I was trying not to let on just how ill I felt. And, at one point I even thought, gosh, I should have made a will. I think it was more in my head that I felt dreadful. And I think also the media wasn't helping me reading it, because I started to see colleagues who were losing their lives. So I think that fear factor was in your mind, and I didn't want to alarm them. So I think I definitely played it down. And in fact, I stopped calling. I just avoided calling because I didn't want to face the question.
Yeah, I know it's so many families are in this position where parents are here in Northern Ireland and their children are somewhere in GB. Ahmed, how do you find this situation? You probably didn't see Ayesha that much, but now for the time being you won't be able to see her. What's that like?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, but I'm sorry. Yes, it was quite traumatic. You feel so helpless, and you want to say so many things, but you can't. you just get very confused what to do, and you worry about your grandchildren. And it was a worrying time. It is such a horrible thing, and you see these pictures on TV where, the loved ones are across the window and they can't get close to them and talk to them, and it is such a worrying thing. And this is especially a very, very troublesome time for us, because grandchildren come to us in Northern Ireland, and we are here in Coleraine and North Coast. This is such a lovely, lovely part of the world, I think. And
Tara, I want to say that I see Northern Ireland for my children. I love them to go over as much as possible in the holidays to get that experience, of the beauty. And we're really missing it badly. This is the longest we've been.
Oh, I'm sure. And when it comes to the other side of that equation, Ayesha, how worried are you then about your mum and dad, being in the older age category, if you don't mind me saying that? And
we're very worried.
Yeah.
I think I became, like a lot of daughters to their mum, a bit of a school teacher, and because I don't think she understood at the beginning the gravity of the situation, and maybe also because we were here and also in the medical profession actively working. So, a trip to the shops for them was nothing, but for me I was getting really, really worried because, the impact on the older age group. And they are in the at-risk, they're older, and both of them have a few risk factors. So not that they're not fit. They're very fit. Dad plays golf almost every day. But, yeah, I really was stressing down the phone all the time until the point where my mum said, look, let's just not talk about this. But I think the message was getting through. And I'm so glad of their neighbours. Dad, you introduced me to your neighbour.
Yes, Nicky, our neighbour, he's very kind. I mean, it's so amazing. This Northern Ireland is such a wonderful place. People are so kind. We have got a nominated volunteer to help us with shopping and so on. We didn't have to use them yet, but it is good to know that he's around. And my wife doesn't drive, and that worries me too. If I get down, it will be difficult for her. But it is a kind of worrying time. Hopefully we are getting over it, and the sooner the better.
Well, that was Ahmed and Ayesha Sharieff talking to me earlier. Lots of families in that predicament as well, but good luck to them.